Hi guys, Darth Deuces here, back with another Star Wars Black Series figure review. Today we're taking a look at the fifth brother from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. This figure came out kind of quickly. I wasn't surprised when this figure came out so quickly. I got mine from Big Bad Toy Store a few weeks ago at this point. I thought he wasn't going to come out till later on in the year because that's what the initial estimates were, but I guess, I can't really trust Hasbro with their estimates at this point. But I am glad he's come out. I really like this figure a lot. It's a really well done figure for the most part. And I do like the character. I think the character was cool enough in the show. I do think design-wise, he's a bit of a departure from how he looked in the not Clone Wars, but in Star Wars Rebels. And I'll touch on those. But overall, I think he's cool. It's another Inquisitor, another Darksider to add to the shelf, so I'm all for it. But yeah, let's just get right into it. So this is the fifth brother as he appears in live action. And I think the head sculpt is really good. I think the likeness is quite nice. You'll have to forgive me. I do not know the name of the actor off the top of my head. I know he's an actor in Fast and Furious, I do believe, the newer installments of Fast and Furious. But I think it looks pretty good. I think the skin tone pretty much on par. The eyes look decent. The facial features, I think that looks good. I think the helmet or hat or whatever the hell this thing is looks good as well. Nice sculpted detail. Some decent paint apps, although nothing too crazy. Then the armor looks good. The armor is actually a separate overlay piece on top of a actual torso sculpt underneath, which I kind of like when they do that. Makes it feel more like actual kind of armor, because it kind of is in a way on the figure. And then you got some actually pretty decently applied paint apps for the most part, with different details on the armor. It's a little sloppy if you get too close, but it's not too bad. The clothing is also sculpted nicely with nice texture detail. You got nicely painted silver and sculpted Imperial logos on both arms, which I think look nice. Excuse me. Gauntlets look good, just black, but decently sculpted. And then the paint on the belt is also pretty clean and looks nice. And you can get a sense for that sculpted texture detail of his clothes. It looked pretty good. The armor on the thighs look nice. It is made of a bit of a pliable material, so they can kind of move out of the way for articulation. And then you got the boots. I do find his feet are pretty big. I assume that's accurate, but he's kind of comes off as kind of clown shoe-ish, I'll be honest. They're quite big. But, maybe he just wears big boots. I don't know. But what's not big is the size of this figure. I'll get more into it with the size comparisons, but I definitely think this guy is a bit too small in terms of bulk and in terms of height. In the Star Wars Rebels, the fifth brother was a pretty big dude. He was pretty tall and he was fairly bulky. He's kind of like the strongman of the Inquisitors, at least in my opinion. And I feel like maybe they miscast a bit in terms of the build of the person playing the character. You'll see that in the size comparisons. But overall, sculpt and paint-wise, I think the figure looks great. Not really too many complaints. Not as faithful to Star Wars Rebels, per se, as I would have liked, but it's fine. I'm not really too worried about that. In terms of articulation, he's got the classic dumbbell joint in the neck. I think there's one at the base of the neck as well, but it doesn't move that much. But he does look down, not too much, actually. He doesn't look down a lot. Does look up a bit. Pivots a bit, and it rotates, so not too bad. Ball hinges at the shoulders move pretty good. They can go a bit further up, which is pretty nice. I believe there is a butterfly joint in there, but it pretty much basically doesn't move at all. And then you've got single hinges in the elbows, move just a little past 90, and then swivels at the wrist as well as up and down hinge at the right hand, which is good for his lightsaber posing. Oh, and left. Both of them have up and down, so that's good for lightsaber poses. So that's great to see. Ball joint in the torso moves quite good for the most part. It moves good back, it moves good pivot and rotation, but doesn't really crunch forward too much, which might be a problem for some people. I'm not sure. I don't really care that much, to be honest. Standard joints in the hips that move forward a fair amount, and they move out a decent amount, but just keep in mind that these plastic armor bits, they will move out of the way, but you might, if you leave them in like sustained poses where his legs are out quite far, they'll kind of warp out a bit, and he also makes his belt hike up his torso a bit. Swivel cut at the thigh there, single hinge in the knee, moves about 90. And then you have a hinge at the ankle, goes up a fair amount, down a fair amount, and pivots. So, standard black street articulation, but I do find this figure moves pretty nicely and is fun to pose. So that is a good thing. If he wants to stand. Yes, there we go. And focus. terms of accessories, he just comes with this one accessory, which is his lightsaber, which I actually don't think he ever actually uses this in the show. He has it on him, but I don't think he ever uses it. I could be wrong. I've only watched the show once, and it was like a month ago. So, but it looks good if it, again, wants to focus. Yeah, it looks good, sculpted well, painted well. The silver paint looks nice, and you get a bit of darker grays or blacks kind of thrown in there. It looks nice, and then the blades are a nice red color. Very cool. He holds it decently, but one thing is there's this giant peg jutting from the hilt, which is very unsightly, and makes it a bit more of a pain to get it in his hand than it should be. But the reason the peg's there is you can't actually store it on his back, so if you take out the blades, you just have the hilt. He has a hole in the back here, and then you can store the hilt on his back like he does in the show, and in Star Wars Rebels I believe he also stores it like this. So I think that does look super cool. I am a big fan of that. However, it does kind of suck that the saber has this huge peg. I think they could have made the peg a bit smaller, or made the peg built into the figure and then have a hole in the hilt maybe instead. That might have been a bit better functionality wise, at least. I guess maybe not aesthetically, so I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a pick your poison kind of scenario. Either way they did it, with the budget of the figure, you weren't going to get the most graceful solution. But I like that it's a feature, so it's not too bad the way it is, honestly. And like I said, you can get him to hold it. He does hold it well once you get it finagled in there. It's just finagling it in there is kind of a pain in the ass, I'll be honest. Because you can't just slot it in there. There we go. There, got it in there. You got to stretch his hand quite a bit to get it in there, but once you do, and once his hand kind of tightens up again, he does hold it pretty well. Oh my god. There we go. There you go. Yeah, holding it. I think that looks pretty good. So before we end off here, we'll do a couple of quick comparisons. Here he is with the Walmart exclusive Phase 2 Purge Trooper. And this is kind of where I'm getting at, where I think he's too small. I definitely don't think this character should be shorter than the Purge Trooper. The Purge Trooper is a little taller than him and looks a bit bigger than him. I don't think that should be the case. And this isn't like an issue with the figure. This is an issue with how they casted the character, unfortunately. But yeah, I definitely think he should be bigger than the Phase 2 Trooper for sure. Here he is with Darth Vader. And they look pretty good. Oh, they look pretty good together. I feel like, again, I think the fifth brother should be a bit closer in height to Vader. Maybe only a little shorter than him. And here he is with Reva. He is a little taller than her, so that's good at least. And then here he is with the other Inquisitor we've gotten so far. Here he is with the second sister from Fallen Order. He's also a little taller than her, so that's good. Overall, I think this is a really cool figure. Obviously, maybe if not your favorite character in the world, not my favorite character in the world, I'll be honest, but it's a cool figure. I'm a fan of the Inquisitors, so it was one I definitely wanted to pick up. And I think if you're collecting the Obi-Wan Kenobi stuff, or you just like maybe you're just collecting the Inquisitors, like the Inquisitors, or maybe you're a Star Wars Rebels fan and you just want a fifth brother, articulated fifth brother in the collection, and you don't mind the fact that he's live action style and not Rebels design, then yeah, this is a good figure to get. I would definitely recommend picking it up if you're a fan of any of that. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, and I'll see you all next video. May the Force be with you.